Oh yeah, we're kicking it old school today. VCRs. Whatever happened to them? I think technology. These are definitely behind the times, and I actually used to work on these VCRs, TVs, and stereo systems at a repair shop back in the mid to late '90s, repairing belts, power supplies, cleaning heads, you named it. I pretty much tore these down and rebuilt them all the time. And the most common failure in these things in the earlier versions, which were twice the size, were um, there were transmission belts in between the two uh, winders that wind the tapes forward and back. And they finally changed that to a gear in the later models, which kind of took care of most of that issue. And they've kind of made a modular inside now. Well, in the late stages, they made a more modular system that just snapped onto a circuit board versus a whole mechanical chassis, lighter and cheaper. And yeah, I'm not sure it's so sure it was a great idea for the consumer because just more crap just broke. Because they were just chintzier parts, and yeah, I never liked them. I always liked the old chassis, steel chassis versions. I had a few up until probably about 8 or 10 years ago. I finally just got rid of them. But I managed to keep this one because I eventually wanted to convert some of my VHS to DVD or digitally download them or encode them to my computer, which is I'm planning to do with this. But this one, after I dug it out of the grave, has been doing some whack shit, and I'm going to show you what it's been doing. I went through and cleaned all the heads and greased the slides and the cap stand motors and the pinch rollers. I went through all that. Everything seems to be okay there, but it's just doing some really weird stuff when I do fast forward and rewind. It seems to play a tape okay. Let's see if it pulls the tape out this time. Yep. So it's pulling the tape out. And look, it just went into a fast forward. But it's not showing fast forward, but the numbers are just flying up. That is really strange. And then it just stops. And that's it. And then it powers itself down. And then you press power again. Press play, and it plays at its normal speed. I'm not so sure why it's doing that right yet. I know it never did that before, but this thing has been just kind of sitting in the corner. Long before it got unplugged and put away, it just kind of sat on a TV plugged in for a while, so I'm not so sure how the power supply caps are looking at this point. I've already replaced one, maybe, very, very early in its life, probably back in 2000 or so. So that's going back 16 years ago. So I'm assuming some of these caps might be to blame for this. I'm not so sure, but it's definitely logically doing something strange. Now if I hit rewind, it absolutely does not a damn thing. And if I hit the remote, I'm thinking maybe it's a bad switch on the VCR. It absolutely does nothing. I hit fast forward, she goes. I hit rewind, it actually stops, but it does not go into rewind. That is strange. Fast forward, let it stop first. Maybe then reverse. Stop, reverse, reverse, reverse. I got it to do it once, but yeah, something's really whacked out with this thing. So I'm not so sure if I'm going to be able to figure out the issue with this, if it's beyond, capacitor issues, because there's obviously no schematic for this, and if it's got some kind of logic chip problem, if we could swap it out, if we can find the parts still, but I don't know if it would be worth it. I might just go to the extent of pulling this mechanical chassis off the circuit board and take a peek at the back and maybe test a few of these power supply caps, but as far as going any deeper than that, I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, I really like this VCR too. It was pretty good. It was a 4-head stereo. You know, it was pretty much state of the art in the end of its life. You know, I greased up the tracks for the eject, so everything seems to work good there. I did get it to rewind one time, and when it did, the tape started to come out of the rail. So maybe one of these pinch rollers is just dried out, or just could be still part of the issue of the rewind. So I guess at this point I'm just going to start just disassembling this and pulling this center chassis out of here and getting off the circuit board. Usually you just be able to pull some screws, some main screws out, pull this front faceplate off, and this whole thing just snaps out in one big chassis, and you're good to go. I started to recall some memories from my VCR repair days, and something lit up in my mind, and I said, "Oh, you dumbass. I know what it is. You want to know what it is?" That's the problem. You gotta shut the damn lights off. Everything is optically driven in this mechanism. And yeah, it's quite strange, but it does indeed affect it. I just went into this for head cleaning, and I caused myself some more issues than I thought than I should have. But no big deal. So let's shut that light off. Hey, look at that. We got rewind. Now watch what happens when I turn the light on. It's rewinding. Okay, maybe it's not the LED, maybe it's going to be the fluorescent that does it. Let's stop it. We'll try to rewind again. Well, now it's making me look like a real idiot. Let's turn this light on. Maybe it was this light that was doing it. Yep. No rewind. It's crazy. Alright, and that's the incandescent light. That's not the fluorescent. Let me shut the fluorescent light off. I mean the incandescent. Probably didn't even notice the difference there. And it rewinds. That's too funny. So let's confirm that again. Turn the incandescent light on. See if it rewinds. Nope. Let's shut it off. Wow. That's stupid. I guess that sensor's just picking up some kind of a 60 cycle and that sensor from that bulb. I don't know. That's just crazy. But I used to run into this all the time back at the repair shop, and I used to just put the cover back upside down when I was troubleshooting. I would kind of put the cover over it like this to shield it from any light, to try to do some troubleshooting. That goes to show how long it has been since I repaired a VCR. The optics can drive you really batshit crazy like that, so that's too funny. Well, at least if any of you guys is looking to go in and clean your VCR out and you get some strange things happening, then that would be why. So, well, that's good. I got the heads all cleaned up, so this should be all ready to go. It's a shame that I lost about half hour, 45 minutes, but at least I got a video out of it, and you guys got to see, you know, how stupid things can really hold you up like that. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next.